How's it going, guys? Today I'm going to be showing you how to make Hannah Wants and Clementine Douglas's Cure My Desire. This is an absolute banger. It was released in 2022, and if you've not heard it, then you're missing out. Here's a preview of what you'll have made by the end of the video.
I've been getting so
Today we're going to be looking at the 4 elements that make up this track. The first one is the bass. The second is the ARP and the atmosphere. And lastly, of course, the drums. Let's firstly have a look at the bass. Great, so let's firstly crack open the MIDI, and if you have a look at this, you'll automatically notice something is slightly different to normal. Obviously, a normal bass line is just made of 1 note, but with this bass line, we're making 5th chords. Great, so yeah, we're in the key of B major, and what we're doing is getting the root note, so the B, and then we're going up to a 3rd, and then up to the 5th, and obviously in this case, the 5th is the F sharp. We're then doing the exact same thing, so we've got G sharp, and then we're going 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and we found D sharp. We then obviously do that with this last one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In order to do this yourself, you're going to want to write the sort of root note first. So basically like that, or see you can sort of... So you want to find the root notes first before you start fucking around and add the 5ths, otherwise you're going to get a bit lost. Yeah, it's pretty simple. All they've done is add the 5ths, and yeah, it sounds fucking good. But now we're going to have a look at the patch, and we're going to see why it sounds good. So basically the difference between this and a lot of other basses we make, we actually use the synth to create that 5th. So we pitch up, say, oscillator B by 5 semitones. So if I just delete this, you'll hear the difference. Great, so a lot of the time in a lot of other videos, what we do is add the 5th using, say, oscillator B. We pitch this up by 5 semitones, and that creates a 5th. But sometimes it can sound better to do it this way, so we keep all of this on 0, and then we add the 5th in the MIDI ourselves. This can often result in a thicker sort of bass sound. Great, so yeah, the reason why it can sometimes sound better is because you've got both wavetables, so you can have a saw in here and a square in here, and it means they're both being played at the root note and the 5th. Great, so yeah, if we have a look at the patch, in oscillator A, we've got a saw wave, so you can find that analog basic shape saw, and in oscillator B we have a square wave. These are both pitched up in unison, so you've got 6 unison and 5 on oscillator B, and make sure the D tune's down, otherwise it's going to be too wide. It's going to sound weird. So yeah, anywhere about 0.09, somewhere around that sort of mark. We then come over to envelope 1, and this is dragged over onto the filter cutoff where we've got an MG low 24. So just grab this little arrow, bring that on here. We've got the cutoff at 31, and then the sort of blue cutoff at 40. We're then sculpting the shape, so we get to quite short at about 1.16 seconds. In terms of the effects, there's no effects. I mean, you don't really need it when you've got this unison. And yeah, and the sort of, I guess the main sound, as I sort of said previously, is coming from it's sort of doubling up and writing the 5th on top of the normal root note. Just to let you know, this serum preset is from my Deep House Volume 1 pack. You can get that from the link in the description. The pack has over 65 presets for making Deep House by all the best Deep House producers. So yeah, definitely check that out. The link for that is in the description. Great, now we have a look at the drums. Great, so if you have a look at the drums, what you'll notice is that there's 2 layers to the kick. So we've got the sort of underground bass layer, and then we've got this clicky layer that's sat on top. So all of these drums are from my Deep House Volume 1 drums pack. You can get that from the link in the description. I've got this obviously bass. So this is taking up all the sort of low end. I've got this just to help it punch through the mix a little bit extra. If you have a look at the processing, all I've got on here is an EQ. So this is a good bass drum in itself. But this EQ taking out everything above 225 just gives it a little bit extra in the top end. Without it, it's not punching through as much. We then come on to the sort of top loop. So we've got this clap, second clap, open hat, then we've got this closed loop. It's just sort of like a shaker. So as you can see, the velocity is changing, and then that is just repeated. And then of course, to bring it all home, we've got this ride, which is just hitting on every sort of beat. And then of course, this kickstart, allowing it to duck and giving it some rhythm. Otherwise, it's too busy. And of course, a little bit of reverb, just to smooth it out. In terms of processing, I've got this drum bus. I put it on comp mode, which means compression, but you've got to bring the trim down when you turn it on, otherwise it's going to be way too loud. I've got the drive up quite nicely and a little bit of crunch, which helps to add a little bit of room to the head, to the high end. Or sort of say it helps to store and sort of get some energy out of the high end. Then let's have a look at the ARP. If we have a look at the ARP, in terms of the notes, we're also in the key of B major. If we have a look at it in context, the pattern is pretty simple. Basically just 4 for every bar, which is very common. So obviously it's going down, but what you could have is it going up, and it's still going to sound good as long as you're using the right notes. I mean, to be honest, it actually maybe sounds better. And then what you could do is obviously duplicate that, and then you could just change maybe the second note or the top note. So maybe not the second note, try the top note. And then you can put it up. But yeah, it's all about playing around with the different notes. If you didn't like that, then obviously you could bring it right down here. Keep that as a root note. Yeah, it's kind of ARPs are really fun to just play around with. Cool, let's just take it back to the original, and then we have a look at how it's made. So yeah, of course, we've used Serum, and it's from that same Deep House Volume 1 pack. Great, I'll show you now how to make a pluck that's very similar. It might not sound exactly the same, but yeah, what we can do, basic shapes. We can then go over to this morph mode, and we can add a little bit of harmonics to it. Let's turn on this filter so we can have a sort of listen to how it sounds. Turn on A and B, turn on oscillator B, and analog, basic shapes. Go for a triangle, maybe pitch it up, go for a 7th. Go to this. And then let's get some reverb. Try play. Bring that level down. Let's hear it. So yeah, it's pretty simple really. This is sort of like the lower end, and then this is used for that top end. Of course, you could have analog basic shapes, and you can go for like a soft. What we've then done to make this atmosphere, I then use the Valhalla Vintage Verb. If you haven't got this, you can just use the Ableton one, but make sure the decay is right up. So literally 60 seconds. You then want to duplicate that, freeze it, and then bounce it down. You can then grab that, maybe even delete that, and get another reverb, do the exact same thing, freeze it, flatten it, and then go EQ, take out some of that low end, and then just pick the sort of bit that just sort of breathes like this. So obviously this bit here has too much plucking in it, but this bit, so it's sort of like an atmospheric pad. And you can just put that sort of anywhere in the track where there's not that much going on, and you just need something to sort of fill out the mix a little bit. Great, thank you very much guys. I hope you learned something new from that video. I will see you next time. Cheers.